Welcome to Dads and Dollars podcast with your host, Stanley Funches, certified financial planner, business owner, author, speaker, and father of three. Listen as Stanley shares his valuable insights around fatherhood and finances gained from over 20 plus years of experience. You'll hear stories, lessons learned, and the ups and downs he and his guests have encountered on their journeys as fathers, professionals, and business owners. These shared lessons will help provide you a path for financial independence while celebrating the challenges of being a dad. Thank you for joining the conversation. Here's your host, Stanley Funches.
Good day. Welcome to Dads and Dollars, Season 1, Episode 2, the podcast where we discuss fatherhood and finances as it relates to many life topics. My name is Stanley Funches. I'm a certified financial planner by profession and a father of three in this thing called life. On this episode of Dads and Dollars, we will discuss cash. That's right, straight cash, homie. So in talking about cash, one of the things I always tell my clients is that cash is king. It's in my book, The Quest for Financial Independence, 10 things in your planning you should not ignore. And cash is a prevalent part of it. So you probably ask, okay, well, this is the first episode, man, cash is boring, not earning anything. Why are we learning about cash? I mean, it's like going to a restaurant instead of getting some nice big steak and with some wonderful pasta or something, and you're going to ask for chicken breast with vegetables, or just plain yogurt, or maybe avocado toast. I mean, I guess avocado toast does have a little sexy appeal to it. But it's not like investment stocks, crypto, talking about Ukraine, not like talking about Will and Chris in the slap. But, this is going to be an interesting topic in the sense that it's the primary reason why we need to do anything. Because cash rules everything around me, cream, in the wonderful words of Wu-Tang Clan. So why then are we going to talk about cash? One, is the foundation building block to sound financial planning. Everyone needs it. Not everyone has it. But in this podcast, I will make the argument your investments, your retirement planning, your wealth building strategy all need cash. So what is cash reserve? Money you have set aside for unexpected job loss, health crisis, global financial crisis, pandemic. And those, the reason we know it's important is because those who had it during the pandemic, early days of the pandemic, were the ones who were the most comfortable, the most, or not as agitated or not as anxious, because they had cash and they knew that they could buy their time if we were shut down for more than, a few weeks or a couple of months. So in fact, cash is so important. The government actually infused cash in doing COVID to individuals, to families, to businesses. The government basically handed out cash because it was needed to sustain during a shutdown or when economic activity went to a halt. We're inside. So cash is very important. So if it was important in those instances, in the biggest crisis, health crisis that we've had in almost 100 years, then it's definitely something that we need to look at on a day-to-day basis from an individual standpoint. So it's money that you either keep in your checking account, your savings account, money market account, CDs, or even under your mattress. It's 3 to 6 months of expenses is one of the things that we like to say. So 3 to 6 months of expenses if you're a family, and 6 to 12 months in your business if you're a business owner. And so again, we don't care where you have it. It's just a matter of you having it and keeping it secure for those rainy days when things happen. Now, there is a cost. I know everybody's saying, hey, hold up, Stanley, cash is not earning anything. We want to do something else with our money. And there is a cost to holding too much cash. There's opportunity cost. We could have it in the markets, or we could have it in somewhere else, potentially earning more money in a real estate property or something like that. I mean, we could have it in something that could potentially earn more dollars. But I'm going to make the argument for you that that may not be the best first thing you do. There's also the fear of missing out. Oh man, I can go chase this next big investment, this next quick thing. I can take my cash and use it for something else. So, you fear of missing out on some wonderful vacation that you and your friends are talking about. So there's a use of cash and cash reserves that when it comes to fear of missing out. So if we're saying cash is the fundamental aspect, it's the number one building block, it's the foundation for all of your financial planning. Why do we say that? Why is that so important? Any strong financial plan has to have cash addressed. So I say cash is king and it needs to be addressed first. Net worth. Net worth is your assets minus your liabilities, the things you own minus the things you owe. The reason cash is important and is healthy, there are people who have a great large net worth, whether it's in their business or it's in real estate, and they are not liquid. When you have cash, you have a little more flexibility. There are people who have very little net worth and they have cash and they feel somewhat more comfortable. Cash is that buffer for you to have less debt. So let's say, for instance, I need 4 new tires on my car. And if I don't have an appropriate amount of cash reserves, I'm going to have to charge it. I'm going to have to go put it on a credit card. At that point, my net worth went from maybe 0 to negative because I had a life event. So cash is important so you can sustain yourself and not get in debt. So you can have a foundation to build your assets without taking on additional liabilities. So cash is very important there. When it comes to financial independence, cash is important. And I'm not just talking about in retirement. I'm talking about whether it's your business needs slows down and you can't take money out of the business, or you have a career and you have to change jobs. If that company that you are with no longer likes the quality of your work, having cash helps you go find another job without having the anxiety and the stress that would be on you if you didn't have it. So cash impacts your life by helping your net worth, but also give you a level of independence when you want to make transition or when there's something going on in your life. Cash gives you that flexibility. It also helps your investments. Cash helps your investments. It helps your investment portfolio. It helps your investment strategy. It helps you withstand volatility. And we're seeing a lot of volatility in the markets here lately. If you don't have cash, what I've seen in my experience as a financial advisor, that people have come to me and they talk about their investment experience and they say things like, hey, I had put $10,000 in this stock or this mutual fund and the market went down and I needed money for that hypothetical 4 new tires on the car. I didn't have anywhere to get it. My 10,000 dropped to 7,000. And then I had to sell it in order to go take care of some home repairs and put tires on my car. And I lost money. My 10,000 went to 7,000. I was forced to sell it because life events happened. Now I lost money. And I don't want to do that again with investments. Well, the reason that happened is because it didn't have the proper order. That 10,000 probably should have been your cash reserve first. And that way, it wouldn't have interest rates, it wouldn't have gone up a whole lot, but it also would have been stable. And so when you needed it for emergencies, you could have taken that money out and not felt the the paper which turned into an actual loss when you sold it on that investment that you have. Also, when it comes to your investment portfolio, I find that clients who have an adequate amount of cash can take a longer time horizon on their investments. They don't think about their investment money as near-term money. They know that we're investing for the long haul. So when the market does pull back, they may have all the emotions and when a paper loss happens and they look at their statement and the value's down 15, 20%, they have all the emotions of, gosh, my money's moving downward. But at the same time, they have a long-term horizon because they know they have cash to take them, and they could take them in this short period of time, and that they can have a longer-term time horizon for this money they're investing for later. So it allows them to go through a market cycle without having, to pull money out because of fear that they don't have anything. So cash helps withstand a level of volatility. Cash also helps you take advantage of business opportunities in real estate when they pop up. If you have cash, you have capital. One of the things from a Black individual perspective, entrepreneur perspective, is we say lack of capital, that we don't have access to capital. Well, when you build up your own reserves and you build up excess reserves, then you have some capital where you can fund a business venture or a real estate project that you want to do. Or you will have enough down payment as a leverage to go to a bank and say, I got some of my own capital to help with this real estate venture or to help with this business. And so that's very important. And so one of the things that I would like to, let me just kind of also give you this analogy as well. So I grew up playing basketball. And as a basketball player, when you're taught to shoot, you're taught, the fundamental at a very close range. So like one of the things that when we trained right in front of the basketball, directly in front of the basketball goal. Shoot one hand, right elbow tucked in close to the side, put the ball in one hand and you shoot, and you act as if you're putting your hand inside the rim and you shoot with one hand, very close range. And you do that repetitively. And as time goes in that drill, you step further and further back. So you may get to the free throw line, then you might start putting two hands on the ball, and then you shoot. You're developing a motion, a rhythm with your body. So then later you walk out to the 3-point line and you keep that same motion, that same rhythm. So that's how you get repetition. That's how you teach your body and your mind how to do something that is not naturally trained to do. And so I would tell people that when it comes to building wealth, you have to do the same thing with developing your wealth. So cash acts as that close-in shot. Save money in your savings account. Save it repeatedly, save it regularly. And do that. Then you start going into investments. Make sure you're maxing out your 401k plan. Then you save in an investment account. Then you can buy some individual stocks as time goes on. So you get further and further back on that risk scale where you're not close in anymore. Then you get further and further back where you're doing other things to build wealth. You're shooting longer shots, harder, more difficult shots. But see, a lot of y'all out here, y'all start out shooting 3-pointers like Steph Curry, like you're Steph Curry. Get the ball in your hand for the first time, and you're out there almost at half court shooting shots, jumping into various forms of investments that are very high risk, using investment strategies that are high risk. And you don't have yet the fundamentals, the steadiness of building cash. So cash, it helps you build, by building your reserves, it helps you build that discipline, those fundamentals, those repeated motions of how to save in all types of weather. Because when I was in school, if you started and missed too many shots, then the coach will say, hey, get closer, get back in closer, get yourself closer, go in and get up under the basket, shoot a little bit more. Because you have developed that discipline, even when things are rough, you still have a savings habit. So that's another benefit of cash. That's the impact of saving and building cash online in your life. And the last benefit I would tell you is what we call POM. So I call that peace of mind. In school, we learn interest rates. You know, the letter that represents that in any type of equation is R. R represents interest rates and equations in finance. But I would tell you that we're not worried about the R. We're going to worry about the letters POM, peace of mind. See, because if you have an adequate enough cash, just from my experience as an advisor, those clients who have that adequate amount of cash have a better peace of mind about their life and day-to-day travels. So I have clients who have maybe $400,000 or $500,000, over $1 million in their investment, in their 401ks. But if I've seen if they don't have cash, or if they're running low on cash, they feel like they don't have anything. Then I have clients who have far less, but they have an adequate amount of cash, or they're retired and we built up, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of cash. And they feel more comfortable because they know that anything that happens, they have an adequate rainy day fund. And even if they need to use it, they still got more than enough. Cash gives them that personal peace of mind, lowers that stress level. But it also helps in your marriage or your relationship. You know, invariably there's one partner that always wants security, and then there's other partner who's more aggressive and wants to take on the world, whether it's a business opportunity or take more risk. And each has their tremendous amount of value. But what I have learned is that cash makes that partner who wants that security feel more secure, even if they start to take on additional risk that the riskier partner wants to take. And it also helps, as we said before, that partner who thinks about things in a riskier fashion stay in their risk and go through their cycle with their risk and understand they can stay in there because they're partners with them because they got enough cash at home. And they don't have to worry about the volatility of that risk. They can wait for it to come to fruition, which may take a little bit longer because most things that require a lot of risk takes a while for it to come to fruition. So think of cash just like protecting your home. It protects that. It's that moat around that wealth creation that you're trying to do. It's that thing that adversity has to go through first before it gets to your wealth building stuff. So, you know, cash is very important in that way. So what do you guys need to start doing? Right? So from my experiences, when we sit down and talk to clients about, when we sit down looking at the cash position, we want to set a target. So whether it's 3 to 6 months or 6 to 12 months, if you're a business owner, I always say 6 to 12. If you're, you know, you work in a career, you work for someone else, 3 to 6 months is what you do. You save there. You can eliminate, if you say, well, gosh, how am I going to do this? You eliminate a lot of excessive and non-important expenses. So take an inventory of your expenses, figure out what is not important for you guys for your standard of living, eliminate that, save the rest, okay? A lot of people want to save 20% first. If you can do that, do it. But if you can't at this moment, then what you need to do is eliminate some expenses and then save and put it on automatic so you never see it. And so and that's another point. So just put everything on automatic where it's coming out of your payroll check or it's being swept out of your checking account. And then what you want to do is use an account that's separate from your operating account, from your bill paying account. Take that, use an account somewhere else that's different than your operating or bill paying account to build a layer of your cash reserves. And be patient. Be patient. Rome wasn't built in a day, and the moat around your wealth creation won't be built in a day either. But be patient and realize that cash is king, and it is the most important fundamental part of all your financial planning. Dad, I want to quit basketball. Those were the words that my daughter expressed to me when she decided to leave basketball and choose theater in high school. Now, the reason I'm bringing all this up is because as parents, we have our own thoughts and visions as our kids grow of what we think that they will be doing or how they should do different things. And a lot of times, ultimately, our children grow up and they develop their own vision and their own talents, and they will come to us and we will have to discuss with them what it is that they want to do with their life. And in this case, my daughter felt like that basketball was no longer her desired activity, that theater was her love and passion. So what we try to do, just give you a little background, from my perspective as a dad, I wanted to introduce my children to different activities, give them different experiences in life. The activities that I understood more of were sports. I played, sports with kids. A lot of the times, I played on the playground a lot. We didn't have AAU and all of those things. I did play sports in high school. And so I knew the lessons of sports. Sports were a big part of my upbringing. So I knew the lesson of sports and how they taught you certain things. And I wanted to bring that to my kids by exposing them to different activities and different sports and try to get those lessons into them, like hard work, discipline, having fun, teamwork, leadership, work ethic, all those things that maybe later in life that they would need. So with sports, you can have a passion about something, you can enjoy it, and you can enjoy the successes of it. But even when you have some type of failure, it's a good learning lesson. When you have a conflict with a teammate or an opponent, it's a great learning lesson that I thought would be transferable to them as they got older in life, that those would be things. Even if they experienced a failure now, it didn't really matter. It didn't change anything. We still were going to come home, eat dinner, watch a movie. But later on in life, if they have these type of challenges and they have situations that come up where they have conflict with a colleague, they can draw back on those sport experiences, the success, the failures, the conflicts, and bring that into their adult life when things really do matter. And that will help them overcome. They'll have a point of reference from their childhood. So sports to me, that's why I introduced my children to sports. It wasn't necessarily that I thought they were going to be professionals at these things. If that turned out to be so, great. But it was more for them to learn these life lessons that we just talked about. So my daughter enjoyed basketball to the point where it was a time where she got a chance to spend time with me. It was a sport that I played, and she got to spend dad time together. I didn't introduce my sons to basketball in the same way that I introduced my daughter to it. That was her sport. That was her time. I coached her teams. I worked with her. It wasn't a natural sport for her, but she was getting better and better each year. We invested in coaches. We invested in camps. She did training. She improved each and every year. But when she got to high school, we figured that, okay, hey, now it's, you're gonna start showing the progression and playing on the high school level and really getting the chance to compete. When she got to high school, she had theater classes in the late summer, early fall of high school, and she loved it. It was something that she had a passion for. So she came and she says, "Dad, I can't play basketball and do theater." And I was like, well, sure you can. Why can't you? And she told me that she was feeling some, friction with the coach on going to do her plays and staying after school to do her plays versus going to basketball training. So I said, well, you shouldn't have to choose because, kids should do, especially ninth grade, 10th grade, kids should have the option to do a whole lot of different things as they try to find their way and they try to grow. So I was like, you shouldn't have to choose. So I said, well, let me go and just let me talk to the coach and we'll see what needs to be done. But, right now in this day and age, coaches are very emphatic about the time that you spend doing that one sport. It's not the flexibility it was when I was in high school or, where you could do multiple things, play multiple sports in high school, be in student government, be a well-rounded kid, do other things. In today's world, I guess it's big business, but the high school coaches as well want their players to focus in on one thing. So we gave it a couple of weeks and tried to reach out to the coach, and she just came to me and she expressed to me, she said, Dad, I just want to move on. I love theater. I want to do theater. The play is what I want to do. I want to have this conflict with coach. I don't want to invest the time required for basketball any longer. I want to do my play. And, when I could hear her be so definitive and the passion in her voice, I was like, okay, all right, if that's what you want to do, then let's go do theater. So she stopped playing basketball. She didn't start that season. She stopped playing basketball. And what I saw in her was, it was kind of transformative in a way. Everything that we had put in front of my daughter up until that point, from probably 3 years old to now at 14 or 15, we had to prod her to do. We had to push her to do, whether it was baton, Ashley, get your baton, let's work on your routine. Whether it was dance, hey, Ashley, you need to work on your routine. Let's put the music on. Let's see you do your dance routine. I mean, dance was so funny that she would be in the dance recitals with the group, and she would be looking at the girl next to her doing the dances that the girl next to her would do. So she was behind. It wasn't in rhythm and in timing. She was mimicking what the person in front, because she didn't learn her routine, whether it was soccer or even schoolwork. We had to prod her to do but not theater. I didn't even know she was studying for these plays. She would study for a play and she would go and she would kill it and do just a fantastic job. And again, she did that without anybody ever saying anything to her. So she thrived. She thrived in high school. She thrived at the competitions. She thrived at her plays. We went nationally. She competed nationally. She exceeded expectations. She won awards on the national stage with her acting and performances. She just did really well in it. She's gone on to go to DePaul and get a scholarship in theater and work in that way. And the same goes true for my other two children. Ashley's my oldest, my daughter, TJ is my middle son, and Christopher is my youngest. So TJ, baseball and football were things growing up with him. And then when he got in middle school, he moved to track and high jump. Now he's competing on the SEC level, doing great at something that he wanted to do versus the baseball and football that we invested in. Christopher, football, same way. Coached his teams. He was getting better at football, but he also is a great artist and he draws, and he wanted to, this past year, focus on school and his art. He no longer wanted to make that same type of time commitment to football. Now, I must say, as their father, who was there with them on the baseball field, on the basketball court, on the football field all the time, that it is a disappointment in a way, not from what they want to do, but it's a disappointment that I was just wanting to see them compete and keep getting better at those things since they had invested so much time in it. I just wanted them to see how far they wanted to go with those things that they had been doing since early childhood. That was my thoughts as a dad. But again, what we have to think about is that's not what's best for them. See, so some kids, what I would just kind of say for everybody out there that I think that the lesson for me, and maybe something that you can learn from my experiences, were that with our children, we want to give them tools to be successful. We want to expose them to different things. We want to give them those life lessons. So we have to do that in a way that we, as parents, that we can relate to, provide them tools, expose them, give them life lessons, whether that's activities and sports like for me, or it may be something else for you. But once we do that, once we pour into them, then we let go and we let their talents and their desires for what they want to do in their lives, let that prosper, let it grow, because it's their passion that's going to drive it. We're just here to equip. And our hope is that the equipping that we do allows them to be the best version of themselves. So thank you for joining for this episode of Dads and Dollars. I hope you enjoyed it. You got something out of it. And if you did, you give us 5 stars. And like the elder said, if you don't have anything good to say, then don't say anything at all. We appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Dads and Dollars. If you found the information shared today valuable, please share with your friends and family via your social media. If you have a request for a future financial topic for Dads and Dollars, please email us at ask@dadsanddollars.com. For further information on your financial journey, you may purchase The Quest for Financial Independence, 10 areas of your financial planning you should not ignore, by visiting our website, dadsanddollars.com. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. Individual tax and legal matters should be discussed with your tax or legal professional. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. All performance reference is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of these strategies. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Guests and their companies are not affiliated with or endorsed by LPL Financial or Intellis Advisory Group. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory services offered through Intellis Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Intellis Advisory Group and Intellis Wealth Management are separate entities from LPL Financial.